You know, sometimes you wake up, you look in the mirror, and you realize you were living a complete and total double life.
Oh, 100%. Like a highly classified shadow agency level of deception.
Exactly. And, like, no, I am not talking about the glamorous, jet-setting, international espionage kind of double life, where you're wearing a custom-tailored gown, sipping a martini, and dodging laser grids in a corrupt billionaire's underground vault.
Right, which would at least be aesthetically pleasing.
Right. No, I am talking about the messy, chaotic, deeply unglamorous kind of deception
Yeah.
where you are actively running from your own responsibilities.
Oh, the psychological warfare of adult procrastination.
Yes. You tell yourself like, oh, well, I'll just check my calendar tomorrow, or I'll reply to that email after lunch. And then suddenly there is a literal target on your back. The entire operational timeline has collapsed, and you have completely ghosted your own life,
You become a fugitive from your own to-do list.
literally hiding in the metaphorical safe house of your couch.
It is truly a masterclass in evasive maneuvers, except the enemy is just, a digital planner that you refuse to open.
I feel so seen right now, but also so attacked.
Well, you are orchestrating these elaborate multi-tiered dodges, dodging text messages like they are literal sniper fire from a Manticore agent. And for what? To avoid a Zoom meeting, to push off a dentist appointment.
Babes, welcome back. We love you, and we hope you had an amazing weekend. But listen, pull up a chair, sit down, look us in the eyes.
We need to have a family meeting.
We do. We need to talk about ourselves for a minute, because honestly, we have been slacking.
Slacking is a very generous term. We've been operating like a rogue intelligence agency with zero oversight.
We really have. Tell the squad, babes, because we've been reading all the comments, the DMs, the frantic messages.
The radio silence has been, frankly, disastrous.
It has. And babes, we know we fell off the wagon with Citadel. We know. We left you hanging right when the global mess was hitting the absolute fan.
Yeah.
But babes, we are back.
I do feel compelled to give a massive, deeply sarcastic round of applause to the Snark Squad. Because you all acted like our own personal, highly trained field operatives.
Oh my God, yes. The accountability.
You were ruthlessly tracking us down across the internet. There was literally nowhere to hide. You breached our digital firewalls, you bypassed our emotional security systems, and you held us accountable.
It was terrifying, but so beautiful.
Objectively, it was very impressive spy work. You applied exactly the right amount of pressure to force our extraction.
I was getting emotional about it.
Yeah.
Because, like, you know how it is. Life just gets so wildly busy.
The operational logistics of daily life are staggering.
Right. Like, every single week starts with the absolute best intentions. I wake up on a Monday and I'm like, this is the week I am organized. This is the week I am the CEO of my own life.
And then Tuesday happens.
Exactly. And somehow one missed commitment just completely snowballs into 3.
Yeah.
I blinked and a month evaporated. I was spiraling.
You were practically in an ice bath of your own anxiety.
I basically was. But the fact that you guys stuck around, the fact that you care enough to hunt us down and demand the snark, I mean, it means everything. We appreciate everyone so much for sticking with us through the chaos.
Truly. Your dedication to our mutual spiral is what keeps this entire covert operation funded. And speaking of funding and operational upgrades, we made an acquisition this week that has fundamentally altered the trajectory of our daily lives.
Oh my God, wait, tell them. The drink situation tonight is elite.
The infrastructure of our recording studio has been permanently elevated.
It is top tier. It is giving 5-star luxury resort on the Amalfi Coast, babes. We're drinking Moscato, okay?
But not like peasants.
No, not just poured out of a bottle into a glass.
Yeah.
Naturally, we ran it through the Ninja Slush machine.
I need to do a brief analytical breakdown of why the Ninja Slush is, objectively, the greatest piece of consumer technology ever engineered.
Better than the spy satellites we're about to talk about.
Completely. Forget the cutting-edge Russian spy satellites. The real innovation is happening on my kitchen counter. Because when you take a standard, perfectly fine Moscato, run it through this machine's cryogenic matrix, and then here is the crucial tactical pivot, you add a fruit puree.
The fruit puree changes everything.
You instantly transform a mundane Tuesday night beverage into a $25 cocktail that they serve you at a luxury cabana.
Right before they hand you a warm eucalyptus towel.
Exactly. It alters the molecular structure of the wine. It creates a microcrystal suspension that is simply sublime.
It is life-changing. I am practically weeping over this frozen sangria. the texture, flawless.
It's an investment in your mental health and structural integrity.
If you don't have one, you need to rethink your entire beverage strategy immediately. But before we get totally derailed by the frozen sangria, I want to take a really sincere, warm moment right now.
Acknowledged.
Okay.
Proceed.
If there is anyone in the Snark Squad who is currently going through a hard time, who is just feeling overwhelmed or stressed or like the world is just a little too heavy right now, we see you.
Absolutely. The operational theater out there is completely compromised.
It is, and we are rooting for you so hard.
Yeah.
Keep going. I know it sounds cliche, but better days really can sneak up on you when you least expect them.
Sometimes you just have to survive the current mission to get to the extraction point. Keep your head down, trust your training, and we've got you.
We love you guys. And on the topic of community and surviving the chaos, we asked you all to share your favorite Pride memories after our discussion last time.
And the intelligence you provided was top tier. We have some operational reports from the field that we need to acknowledge.
I was sobbing reading these. First up, we have Becca's Pride story. Becca sent in this incredible, detailed debrief about attending Pride with a group of friends.
A standard deployment, but highly effective.
Right. And she talked about how, sometimes you go to these massive events and it can feel a little overwhelming, but they just found this specific pocket of community.
They established a secure perimeter of joy.
They did. They were dancing. They made these totally unexpected connections with people they had never met before, and it just turned into this unforgettable, radiant day. Becca, I am so incredibly happy for you.
It's a beautifully executed mission, complete operational success. Now, on the completely opposite end of the spectrum, and this is the kind of chaos I personally thrive on, we have Talina's story.
Oh my gosh, Talina's was a mess in the best way.
Talina's Pride celebration involved what we can only describe as a series of cascading, catastrophic, yet hilarious mishaps.
The lost footwear.
Wrong parade routes, lost footwear, a completely botched dinner reservation, and an incident with glitter that I'm certain is still requiring municipal environmental cleanup.
Literally a biohazard.
But what's fascinating here analytically is that the structural failure of the day's itinerary is exactly what created the most meaningful memories.
It really is. They just went with it.
They abandoned the rigid, pre-planned parameters and just embraced the chaos. It's what I call a tactical surrender to the universe. Sometimes the plan failing is the best possible outcome.
I love that phrase. Tactical surrender. Sometimes the mess is the magic, babes. Thank you both so much for sharing those with us.
We celebrate the sheer chaotic good of those mishaps.
We really do. But babes, we've got a lot to talk about, so let's get into this episode.
The operational incompetence on display in Season 2, specifically the third and fourth installments, requires immediate and ruthless dissection.
I was screaming at my television. My blood pressure has not recovered. Let's just jump straight into the Baha Mar rendezvous.
A masterclass in how not to run an intelligence agency.
Exactly. Because we have Orlik, Hutch, Celine, and Nadia sitting around looking at this impossibly complex to-do list. They have a 7-day timeline. 7 days.
To dismantle Manticore's 8 families.
Starting with Paula Braga. And the stakes are so absurdly high because Braga is trying to hijack a cutting-edge Russian spy satellite network.
Let's pause right there and evaluate the physics of this MacGuffin.
Well, please do, because it makes zero sense.
A satellite in low Earth orbit contending with atmospheric distortion and cloud cover that can somehow isolate and track individual human DNA signatures from space.
From space? It's like, what are we even talking about?
It fundamentally breaks the laws of optical resolution and biotelemetry. It is a logistical absurdity created entirely to force a ticking clock narrative.
Right, but Braga wants it to assassinate the nationalist Russian President Aronov.
Purely to install a corrupt prime minister who will give him unrestricted access to the network. It's a classic syndicate maneuver, control the infrastructure, control the world.
And they have 7 days to stop it. I mean, Bates, I can't even get my dry cleaning back in 7 days.
Yeah.
But the satellite physics aren't even what spiked my blood pressure.
It was the personnel breach.
Nadia's there. She's ready to work. And who casually strolls into the room like he owns the place. Mason. Freaking Kane.
The absolute liability himself.
Mason shows up, and Nadia immediately, and correctly might I add, tries to bolt. She looks at him, recognizes the toxicity, and says, nope, absolutely not.
Her threat assessment was entirely accurate.
And Orlik begs her to stay. He asks for a 72-hour window to assess Mason's motives.
Promising to put a bullet in Mason if he betrays them again?
And let me just loudly point out the obvious. Right now, Mason is not there to save the Russian president. Mason does not care about global security.
It is a spectacular, almost clinical display of self-interest.
He is only helping them because Braga has Abby. He is the most profoundly selfish man on television.
He outright states he has no interest in the broader geopolitical consequences. He is operating purely on a personal vendetta because his domestic, fabricated life was compromised.
He's the worst.
But what is truly fascinating here, and frankly pathetic, is the sheer delusion of Orlick. Orlick, a seasoned intelligence director, believes he can accurately assess Mason's highly volatile psychological state in 72 hours.
Like 72 hours is going to fix a pathological liar.
Mason is a walking, talking, catastrophic failure of loyalty. His internal moral compass is completely shattered. Yet they integrate him into a critical mission because he's apparently the most efficient killer they have. It is a terrible risk calculus.
And a terrible calculus. Because the only thing he is efficient at killing right now is my patience. He's a liability. And it shows immediately, right after the briefing.
The transit hub deployment.
Yes. Nadia has to stash her daughter, Asha, somewhere safe. So she drops her off with her mom, who, plot twist, is a former spy.
We must sarcastically applaud the deeply entrenched generational trauma on display in this family tree.
Is so messed up.
Nadia's mother abandoned her when she was young, ostensibly implementing a burn notice on her own motherhood to keep Nadia safe from the blowback of the espionage world. And now Nadia is doing the exact same thing to Asha.
A perfectly replicating cycle of abandonment.
Justified as protection. And the grandmother's reaction. She doesn't offer emotional comfort. She casually slides Nadia a burner calling card.
Like, here, honey, in case the international assassins get a lock on your biometrics.
Have a good afternoon. It is a stunning display of pragmatic, unhinged parenting.
I honestly weirdly respect the grandma. She understands the assignment. She knows tears won't stop bullets. But this is where I completely lost my mind. Expert speaker, babes. You know what I mean?
Proceed with the spiral.
Nadia walks out of the train station, right? And who is standing there? Lurking behind a pillar in the shadows like an absolute creep.
The aforementioned stalker.
Mason. He's just waiting outside the station, and he has the sheer audacity to say he just wanted to see Asha. I exploded. I threw a throw pillow at the screen.
Logistically speaking, tracking a highly trained, paranoid Citadel spy to a secondary, unlisted location without her noticing is an impressive piece of fieldcraft.
I don't care about his fieldcraft. He is a coward.
Psychologically, it is stalker behavior 101. Nadia tells him to find a way forward, to move on.
Because he shattered her life.
And his operational parameters are entirely dictated by emotional cowardice. He wants the validation of her presence without the accountability of his past actions. It is parasitic.
Parasitic is a perfect word. He is feeding off her lingering trauma. But if we're talking about unhinged family dynamics, we have to talk about Braga and his son, Edgar.
Yes, let's pivot to the French countryside.
Because this show is giving us so many varied levels of pathological parenting.
Paulo Braga, the ruthless leader of an international crime syndicate currently trying to hijack space lasers, is experiencing the mundane, bureaucratic horrors of a middle school parent-teacher conference.
Which is so funny to me. He's a billionaire villain sitting in a tiny chair.
He gets called into Edgar's elite school because Edgar punched a bully and made him bleed. But the artistic element of the scene is what is truly disturbing.
The drawing on the wall.
On the wall behind the teacher, Edgar has drawn a picture of a terrifying, disproportionate black wolf with bright red blood dripping from its mouth.
I was deeply unsettled. I was like, someone get this child an art therapist immediately.
It is incredibly heavy-handed visual symbolism, but deeply effective at signaling that the sociopathy is genetic.
But analyze Braga's reaction. Because the kid who got punched was a serial bully, pulling girls' hair, and the school did nothing. So Edgar handled it. But Braga doesn't react like a normal parent.
He does not ground him or take away his electronics.
Braga threatens the teacher. He literally tells her that if she ever puts his son in a position where Edgar has to do her job for her again, she will be punished.
He is subtly threatening a middle school teacher with manticore assassins.
It is billionaire syndicate parenting at its absolute most terrifying.
It is a fascinating application of syndicate management tactics to an educational environment. Braga views the teacher's incompetence not as an educational failing, but as a failure of middle management.
Right, like she failed to control her territory.
Exactly. Forcing an executive, his son, to step in and restore order through violence. To them, we are all just incompetent employees failing to maintain order.
It is so dark. But honestly, while Braga is dealing with PTA politics, there is a much more disturbing, visceral situation developing with Aparna.
Yes, the psychopathology of obsession.
I cannot stop thinking about this scene. Aparna is sitting, fully clothed, in a bathtub filled to the brim with ice-cold water.
In a dimly lit bathroom.
Just hyperfixating on Nadia, the sheer intensity in her eyes. And Joanna calls her, right, and literally warns her to back off, specifically telling her not to make Nadia another one of her infatuations.
The toxic energy in that interaction is off the charts.
It made my skin crawl, but I could not look away. What is the physiological mechanism happening there? Why the ice?
The ice bath is a highly specific physiological choice. Neurologically, it triggers a massive shock to the vagus nerve. It forces the mammalian diving reflex, dropping the heart rate.
So she's trying to calm herself down.
She is using it to regulate a manic episode. She is operating on a level of hyperfixation that makes her entirely unpredictable.
Joanna's warning gave me chills.
It is crucial intelligence. It reveals that Aparna's motivations aren't professional. Her motives are deeply, dangerously personal. She doesn't just want to defeat Nadia, she wants to psychologically consume her.
She is a total wild card. And that feral energy is exactly what derails the entire mission later. But before we get to that, we have to talk about the heist.
The infiltration of the CIA European headquarters.
The institutional incompetence displayed in this sequence is staggering.
It genuinely defies all logic. Let's break down the setup. Orlik explains they need to bypass a firewall on Braga's mind control chip.
Which means they need the Korean hacker, Edison.
Correct. They managed to identify Frank Sharp in a heavily encrypted archival photo of Edison, where Edison brilliantly is wearing a burlap bag over his head.
Because that's totally normal for a photo op.
Since Frank Sharp is ex-CIA, Orlik deduces that the unredacted intel is locked up in the CIA European headquarters in Rome.
And Orlik just waves his hand as like, oh, the CIA, total morons. We can break into their servers blindfolded.
The hubris is staggering.
You do not just walk into Langley East like it's a local library.
But what is even more concerning is the internal dynamic of the team executing this impossible heist.
The flashback.
Yes. We are given a crucial flashback to 5 years ago, which analytically unpacks the entire dynamic between Celine and Hutch.
Which was so tense.
Celine was originally recruited specifically to act as a handler for Hutch. Hutch is categorized as an A-plus agent, their most lethal reaper, but his psychological profile dictates that he is incredibly reckless.
He's a blunt instrument. He shoots first and asks questions never.
Precisely. And Celine's handlers gave her one absolute order. If Hutch ever went totally off the rails, she was to execute him. Terminate with extreme prejudice.
And now, as they are standing outside the CIA, they are secretly plotting to burn Orlik's entire team.
They are actively planning a betrayal before the mission even starts. The operational trust within this unit is practically negative.
Zero trust. Everyone is just waiting for the exact right millisecond to stab the person next to them in the back. It is exhausting.
So they initiate the Trojan horse via fake prisoner transfer routine.
Right. Hutch and Celine pretend to capture Nadia and Frank and march them right through the front door. But the minute they cross the threshold, the plan disintegrates.
Nadia improvises, which is incredibly dangerous. She steals Celine's sidearm and completely rewrites the negotiation.
She offers up Orlik and Mason to the CIA directors Bantam and Cash,
in exchange for wiping her records. Meanwhile, Mason provides a distraction by hacking the building's comms, calling Catherine, and feeding her a completely fabricated story about her son breaking his arm.
which was so messed up. Using a mother's panic about her child's safety as a tactical distraction, it shows how low Mason will go.
It's ruthless. But the actual mechanism they use to execute the break-in...
Oh my God, do not even get me started.
Mike cannot even process this. They use sonic sounds to paralyze the entire CIA.
Just loud noises. Every highly trained intelligence officer in the building is just clutching their ears and falling to the floor like they are at the absolute worst dubstep concert in history.
It was logistically offensive to the entire concept of security. The CIA European headquarters would absolutely have acoustic dampeners and air-pro fallback protocols.
They would not be entirely immobilized by a heavy metal sound check.
It relies on the premise that the premier intelligence agency has no defense against a very loud speaker.
And during this utterly ridiculous acoustic chaos, Hutch draws his weapon and shoots Nadia point blank.
A massive tactical escalation.
I physically jumped off my couch.
What?
She hits the floor, bleeding out, And the camera pans to a giant manticore wolf logo on the screen with blood dripping from its mouth.
The visual parallel to Edgar's drawing.
I thought they actually killed her off.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way they just killed the main character. It was the most stressful fake out.
It effectively created the necessary shock and awe distraction to freeze the room. The sheer panic it induced was palpable.
It totally worked on me.
But the structural integrity of the plot completely buckles in the aftermath. The level of incompetence we witnessed during the escape is historically bad.
Okay, so we find out Nadia faking it was a ruse to let the team scatter. Fine. But then Hutch gets to the secure server room.
I'm going to need to regulate my own breathing before I say this.
Say it.
Hutch, the heavily decorated A-plus agent, forgets the password.
He forgets the password.
He forgets the highly classified server password during a high-stakes, time-sensitive infiltration. It is a level of catastrophic incompetence that physically pained me to watch.
It's mortifying.
He doesn't deploy a brute force decryption algorithm. He doesn't have a piece of paper in his pocket. He just stares at the keypad blankly, gets frustrated, and breaks the reinforced door down with pure kinetic force.
He bashes his way in.
And then uses the severed fingerprint of a marked agent to bypass the biometric lock.
It is the most embarrassing amateur-hour spy work I have ever seen. My grandmother remembers her Netflix password better than this super spy.
And then they are trying to escape. They were running down the hallway, and the CIA directors, Cash and Bantam, are pursuing them.
Hutch shoots Cash in the leg.
Bantam is standing right there. Bantam has a clear line of sight. His weapon is drawn. He could end this entire chase with one trigger pull. And he hesitates.
Because Frank Sharp holds up his phone.
Frank has blackmail photos of Bantam with a prostitute in a hotel room.
So Bantam just lets them go.
The tactical deployment of marital infidelity as a defense mechanism, it is staggering. Bantam calculates the cost of letting international fugitives escape with classified data against the cost of his wife filing for divorce, and he chooses to protect his marriage.
It is pathetic. But let's pivot, babes, because while the heist is happening, we get the confrontation I've been waiting for.
The body count debate between Orlick and Mason.
Yes, Mason is posturing, confronting Orlick about the death of his father, and Orlick finally snaps and admits to causing the death.
But he contextualizes it. Orlick received heavily manipulated bad intelligence regarding a terror cell, authorized a strike, and accidentally caused the deaths of Mason's father and 342 United Nations aid workers.
342 UN workers. That is a historical tragedy. But Mason tries to use this horrific admission to justify his own massive betrayal.
Which is a profound failure of moral logic. Mason is attempting to draw a false equivalence.
He basically says, see, we are exactly the same.
Analytically speaking, Orlick is correct in his rebuttal. Intent is the defining metric in operational failure. Orlick acted on bad data. Mason acted on personal grievance.
Mason committed premeditated mass treason.
The scale of Mason's betrayal is fundamentally different because it was born of malice, not error.
And Orlick completely shuts him down. He says, I made a mistake. You kill thousands for vengeance. I am disgusted by both of them.
They are both walking war crimes. But the narrative pacing refuses to let them sit with this ideological divide because the decryption finishes.
Right, and they had to go to a party. Because what is an international espionage thriller without a glamorous high society gala?
So the file decrypts, and they find out Edison's real name is supposedly Yu Ha-jun, or Han-ju-yu.
Depending on which screen you look at. Continuity department, please.
The show's internal management of aliases is a logistical nightmare. But the target is established, a wealthy Korean former hacker hosting the Greenpeace annual gala in Windsor.
Which leads to my secret favorite trope. The fake marriage undercover mission.
A classic infiltration protocol.
Mason and Nadia pretend to be a wealthy married couple, and someone almost recognizes them and pulls out a camera. So what does Mason do?
He grabs her and aggressively kisses her to hide their faces.
And then when they pull away, he has the absolute nerve to tell her he still loves her.
I was yelling at my street. I was like, love, you do not know the meaning of the word.
It is textbook psychological manipulation. Mason is weaponizing the concept of love as a tactical asset to destabilize Nadia.
But while they are having the soap opera moment, the actual twist of the episode is happening behind the scenes.
Yes, Celine and Hutch are systematically stalking the target, Han Ju-yu. But they corner his wife, and they drug her champagne.
Because the twist is that Edison isn't Han Ju-yu at all. Han Ju-yu is merely the wealthy financial front. The actual genius architect of the code is his wife. And here is the critical operational failure. Celine and Hutch knew this from the beginning and deliberately hid it from Orlick.
Which is so incredibly shady. But the minute they drug the wife, it is a complete cascade of chaos.
A total breakdown of operational control. Aparna, who has emerged from her ice bath fully energized, materializes in the washroom.
She ambushes them.
She engages Celine and Hutch in brutal, close-quarters combat, neutralizes both of them, steals the unconscious wife, and casually texts Braga that she has the asset.
And while this washroom brawl is happening, Braga steps out of the shadows on the gala floor and just executes the husband in cold blood.
Pure pandemonium. And meanwhile, Frank Sharp is sitting in a corner playing literally everyone for profit.
Oh my God, the text intercept.
We need to analyze Frank's financial logistics. Orlik forces a remote text intercept on Frank's phone. We watch his screen as his payout jumps from an initial offer of $12 billion to $32 billion.
Via a text message.
Let me highlight how economically absurd it is to wire someone $32 billion via iMessage. You cannot move that amount of liquid capital through a cellular network. It would trigger every global banking protocol on the planet.
It is so unserious. Just, Apple, pay me the GDP of a small country, no big deal.
Cartoonish villainy.
But honestly, as ridiculous as the money is, it does not matter compared to the final 3 minutes of the episode. The ultimate betrayal.
Mason's final play.
I am still shaking. All hell is broken loose.
Yeah.
Nadia and Mason corner Braga. They have him dead to rights. And what does Mason do?
He pulls out a taser.
And without a second of hesitation, he drives it into Nadia's chest. He tasers her, the man who just said he loved her.
Yeah.
He lets her drop to the floor, grabs Braga, and jumps into a getaway car.
And who is behind the wheel? His Manticore boss mother, Dahlia.
Who casually shoots a police officer dead through the windshield on her way out. I completely spiraled. He left Nadia alone on the floor again. He is irredeemable.
It is a fascinating reversion to his psychological baseline. When the pressure peaks, Mason defaults to pure self-preservation, completely disregarding his allies.
He's a monster.
And Dahlia escalating the situation by murdering a local beat cop cements the reality that they operate completely outside any moral framework. She didn't need to kill him. She did it simply because it was the most efficient route.
I am so profoundly mad. Okay, we need to process this logically before I lose my mind. It is time to initiate the spy school failure report, babes.
Initiating the failure report protocol, the incompetence parameters are testing the limits of our measuring equipment today. Let's begin with the worst decision.
I have incredibly strong, very loud feelings about this. The worst decision, unequivocally, is Nadia trusting Mason to cover her back at the gala.
You're blaming Nadia.
Yes, I know she didn't have backup, but come on. You know exactly who this man is. The absolute second he kissed her, her threat assessment alarms should have been screaming.
I acknowledge your emotional argument, but analytically I must vigorously disagree. The objective worst decision of the episode was made by Bantam, the CIA director.
Letting them go in the hallway.
He allowed a group of highly dangerous fugitives to walk away simply because Frank possessed a digital photograph of him with a sex worker. Shoot, Frank. You have the tactical advantage, Bantam.
True, Bantam is weak.
Letting them go was a catastrophic failure of institutional leadership.
Okay, fair point. But let's move to the biggest mistake, because I think we are completely aligned on this one.
Absolute consensus. The biggest mistake is Orlik acting on unverified intelligence and authorizing a strike that accidentally killed 342 United Nations workers.
It is an astronomical tragedy. You cannot just brush that off. He is walking around acting like he holds the moral high ground over Mason.
It is an intelligence failure of such immense magnitude that it defies all bureaucratic logic that he is still allowed to operate in any capacity.
Orlik is a walking disaster. Now, moving on to the most avoidable problem. I know what you were going to say.
I believe I have already passionately argued my case. Hutch, forgetting the server password. It is the most avoidable problem in cinematic espionage.
It's so embarrassing.
You memorize it using a mnemonic device. You tattoo it on your inner thigh. You do not arrive at the biometric server door of the CIA and say, what was that random string of characters again?
Just staring blankly at the keypad. Which leads perfectly into character who needs additional training. And honestly, it's not even a single character. The entire CIA European headquarters needs to be sent back to basic training.
I will offer a slight defense of the CIA here, purely based on the absurdity of the plot. They were immobilized by a sonic sound machine that bypassed all physical laws of sound propagation.
They got outsmarted by a Bluetooth speaker. They are a joke. Okay, let's pivot to the trust issues department, babes.
Yeah.
Because my capacity for trust is completely shattered.
Who currently holds the title of most trustworthy character?
Okay, hear me out. I am fiercely defending Asha's grandma.
The woman who abandoned her own daughter. That is your paragon of trust.
Yes. because she actually knows how the game is played, and she is honest about her boundaries. She didn't ask a million questions. She just kept the kids safe and slid Nadia a Brunner card. I trust that grandma with my life.
A controversial choice, but I respect the cold pragmatism. She operates cleanly within the established parameters. Now, for the least trustworthy. Mason Kane or Frank Sharp?
It is Mason. Frank is a greedy little rat. Yes, negotiating $32 billion wire transfers over iMessage. But he is entirely honest about being a mercenary.
You can model Frank's behavior accurately based simply on tracking the highest bidder.
Exactly. Mason is pretending to be this tortured soul who deeply loves Nadia, and then he tasers her in the heart. Weaponizing affection makes him the absolute least trustworthy person.
I concur. Mason's motivations are a toxic cocktail of narcissism and guilt. He wins least trustworthy easily. Now, who claims the title of biggest secret keeper?
Celine and Hutch, without a doubt.
Precisely. Let's analyze their decision matrix. They possess the actionable intelligence that Edison was actually the wife. They sat on this crucial piece of data, putting the entire extraction operation at risk.
Because they are protecting their own secrets.
They prioritize preserving their own interpersonal dynamic over a mission designed to mitigate a global nuclear threat. It is incredibly selfish.
But speaking of being generally terrifying, let's talk about most suspicious behavior. There is only one correct answer.
The ice bath.
Aparna, sitting in freezing cold water, aggressively obsessing over Nadia, looking like she's about to crawl backwards out of my television screen.
Her behavior is the definition of a wildcard variable. She isn't operating on Manticore's orders, she is operating on her own distorted psychological imperative.
Texting Braga from the bathroom tiles. What is her actual endgame?
It makes her impossible for Manticore to control. She is a rogue asset within a rogue agency.
Okay, let's move into the mission debrief. What stood out to you as the best scene?
From a purely narrative mechanics standpoint, the best scene was undoubtedly the dialogue-heavy confrontation between Orlick and Mason.
You picked the talking scene over the explosion.
Exactly why it was the best. It stripped away all the action and distilled the core conflict down to two men brutally comparing their ledgers of death. The dialogue was razor sharp.
It was definitely a heavy hitter. But for me, the most intense moment was the sheer, unadulterated chaos in that gala washroom.
The choreography of that combat was highly efficient.
Aparna just materializes out of the ether. They are brawling in formal wear, smashing through sinks. I was holding my breath the entire time.
It completely upended the carefully laid mission parameters. Now, what do we categorize as the biggest twist?
I mean, logically, it has to be the Edison reveal, right? The wife being the hacker.
Logistically, yes.
Yeah.
The CIA database specifically named Hanju Yu. The reveal that he was merely the facade and his unassuming wife was the actual hacker was a very clever subversion.
It was a great twist. But honestly, it got totally overshadowed in my mind by the most unexpected development. Dahlia showing up as the getaway driver.
And immediately murdering a police officer?
Yes. Dahlia just guns him down without her heart rate even spiking. It escalated the stakes in 2 seconds flat. I was screaming at the television.
It was a stark, brutal reminder of the operational reality of Manticore. Now let's transition to the predictive models.
Yes. Clear the table, babes. Get out your miles of red string. Welcome to Conspiracy Corner.
I want to start with a deep dive into the digital metadata Easter egg from episode 3. Did you catch the specific file name on the screen when Nadia was looking at Frank Sharp's photo?
I saw people losing their minds about this, but I missed it. Explain the metadata.
In the bottom right corner, the metadata contained a geographic tag reading, Project Backstop, Oregon.
Oh my God, Oregon. Wait, that's where Abby was.
Precisely. In Season 1, Mason secretly wiped Celeste's memory and hid her in rural Oregon. This implies that Frank Sharp and the CIA were fully aware of her location long before anyone at Citadel.
Wait, so Frank knew. My jaw is literally on the floor.
Was Frank the one who set Mason up from the very beginning? Did he leak the Oregon location directly to Manticore?
Frank is literally the puppet master.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a theory. And it is based on a wild visual cue, the wardrobe clone theory.
I am intrigued by visual analysis. Proceed.
Think back to when Mason corners Braga at the gala. Did you notice their outfits?
Standard formal wear.
Not just standard. They were wearing perfectly matching custom-tailored suits. The lapels, the cut, the specific shade of midnight blue, identical. I'm calling it right now. Mason is going to physically disguise himself as Braga.
A physical infiltration scenario utilizing his physical likeness?
Yes. A total face-off situation.
Yeah.
Why else put them in the exact same bespoke suit?
Visual mirroring is a classic foreshadowing technique. I will validate the logic of that theory. Now, did you hear the background audio chatter during the CIA Rome sequence?
I was too busy yelling about the sonic sounds. What did they say?
The dispatch monitors were displaying active chatter regarding compromised operations in Italy and India.
No way. The spin-offs.
Exactly. Direct connective Easter eggs to Citadel. Diana and Citadel. Honey bunny. The theory here is crossover integration. Are we going to see active agents from the international spin-offs converge on this central timeline to save Nadia?
I would scream. If Diana kicks down the door dual-wielding weapons, I will literally pass out.
It would certainly solve their current manpower shortage. Finally, let's predict the inevitable internal collapse of our secondary team. What is the operational future of Celine and Hutch?
Oh, they are doomed. Put a fork in them.
Analytically, their dynamic is completely unsustainable. Celine's original orders were explicitly to kill Hutch if he went off the rails.
She is going to do it. Celine is going to fulfill her original orders. Somebody is taking a bullet in the back before the credits roll.
The statistical probability of a lethal betrayal is tracking at about 95%.
I cannot handle the stress. My frozen sangria has completely melted, and I need the next episode immediately.
We need to wrap this debrief before we start analyzing the wallpaper patterns for Morse code.
You are right. Okay, Snark Squad. It is time for you to weigh in.
We require your intelligence reports. Question 1. Which predictive theory are you buying into? The wardrobe clone disguise or a massive spin-off crossover?
Let us know, babes. Question 2. Who can you trust the least, Mason or Frank? I know exactly who my vote is for.
Question 3. What was the most impactful tactical twist? The Edison identity reveal or Mason's ultimate betrayal?
And finally, babes, have you ever fallen behind on a show, panicked, and then binged everything at 2 a.m. out of pure guilt, exactly like we just did? Please validate my chaotic life choices in the comments.
Please deposit all answers into the comments section. Your operational feedback is vital.
Thank you all so much for listening and for hunting us down. We love you so much. Do not forget to like, comment, subscribe, and please share this debrief with your messiest friend.
The one whose daily life resembles a poorly planned espionage mission.
Exactly. We will be back on schedule, we promise. Stay curious, stay messy, and we'll see you on the snark side.
And as a final thought before we disconnect, look at the digital metadata on the photos you just posted. Frank Sharpay thought he was a ghost, but his geographic coordinates betrayed him. Consider what your digital footprint is currently whispering. Stay sharp.